Since the overturning of Roe v. Wade and the increased number of bans on abortion throughout the country, a narrative has developed saying that women are being denied health care and will be forced to die if complications arise in their pregnancy. This is just not true. While it is certainly true that having an abortion is no longer seen as health care in some states, there are still plenty of safe, ethical solutions to complications such as ectopic pregnancies, preeclampsia, uterine hemorrhages, cervical cancer, infections, and ruptures. What does the ethical teaching of the Church say, and which life-saving procedures are allowed? This is Catholicism in Focus. In order to understand why the Church allows certain procedures and denies others, we have to be familiar with a few key principles about Catholic moral theology. Yep, it's back to Moral Theology 101. First, all life is sacred and shares an equal dignity. Because our worth lies not in our usefulness to the world, but in God's grace imparted on us at conception, every human being, from conception to death, deserves respect and protection. It's for this reason that, in the case of mothers and their unborn children, Pope Pius XII made it clear that there can be no choosing between the two. Never and in no case has the Church taught that the life of the child must be preferred to that of the mother. It is erroneous to put the question with this alternative, either the life of the child or that of the mother. No, neither the life of the mother nor that of the child can be subjected to direct suppression. In the one case as in the other, there can be but one obligation: to make every effort to save the lives of both, of the mother and the child. Our ultimate goal must be the protection and well-being of both human beings. Second, never is it justified to intentionally will an evil act to achieve a good outcome. This is explained by the Catechism. A good intention, for example, that of helping one's neighbor, does not make behavior that is intrinsically disordered, such as lying and calumny, good or just. The end does not justify the means. This is further emphasized later. There are acts which, in and of themselves, independently of circumstances and intentions, are always gravely illicit by the reason of their object, such as blasphemy and perjury, murder and adultery. One may not do evil so that good may result from it. Abortion is always wrong no matter the situation, and it can never be done in order to save the life of a mother. Wrong actions don't justify good outcomes. And finally, 3. We are not morally culpable for every unintended consequence that may occur from our actions. Think of it by way of example. You will yourself to eat the last piece of pizza out of a desire to satiate your hunger, but in doing so you create the unintended consequence of making someone else sad because they wanted the last slice. You weren't trying to make someone sad, it was just the result of dealing with your hunger. Catholic moral theology teaches that it is not reasonable for someone to be held responsible for every unintended consequence of their actions, even when such unintended consequences may be foreseen. In some situations, one can act, knowing that an evil effect will occur, and yet be completely justified in acting. This teaching is referred to as the principle of double effect, and it requires 4 criteria to be met. 1. The action must be either morally good or neutral. We can only ever will what is good. Evil actions are always evil actions no matter what effect they produce. 2. The bad effect must not be the means by which the good effect is achieved. The evil must be the byproduct of a good action, not necessary to the good effect itself. 3. The intention must be the achieving of only the good effect. Unintended evil effects may be tolerated, but intended ones are always wrong. And 4. The good effect must be at least equivalent in proportion to the bad effect. If you're going to tolerate something evil, it must be as a result of getting something as good as the evil. It is with this doctrine, encapsulating 3 principles of Catholic moral theology, that the Church provides a directive for the question at hand. Operations, treatments, and medications that have as their direct purpose the cure of a proportionally serious pathological condition of a pregnant woman are permitted when they cannot be safely postponed until the unborn child is viable, even if they will result in the death of the unborn child. What does this mean, you ask? Let's look at some examples. In an ectopic pregnancy, a fertilized egg implants outside of the uterus, usually in one of the fallopian tubes. Because a child cannot come to term in this state, it is considered an unviable pregnancy, but because it will continue to grow until the fallopian tube ruptures, it must be removed to prevent the death of the mother. What do? Directly aborting the child, whether through dismemberment or a drug like methotrexate, would save the mother, but would do so through an evil act. What is willed is the death of a child, which can never be allowed. A salpinectomy, on the other hand, the surgical removal of the fallopian tube, is quite different. What is willed is the removal of a near-ruptured body part, a good action. The death of the child is an unintended consequence of this action, and if it were possible, the child could be reimplanted into the womb. For now, the overwhelming majority of Catholic moral theologians approve of this procedure. Some see it as an indirect abortion, forbidding it in their hospitals, but as of yet, there are no directives from the church preventing its practice. A similar issue to this is that of cancer treatment. If a pregnant woman is found to have cancer, she is perfectly justified in treating the cancer as she would if she were not pregnant. If various effective treatments are available, the one with the least effect on the child should be chosen, but if it is not possible to treat the cancer without negative, even fatal effects on the child, this is also permissible. What is being willed is the treatment of cancer, not the death of the child. This is the case even with uterine or cervical cancers, situations in which the uterus must be removed to save the life of the mother. Even though it will undoubtedly result in the death of the child, the church allows it because what is being willed is not a direct abortion, but the removal of a pathology. Where the situation changes significantly, and there is far more controversy, is in the cases of preeclampsia, uterine hemorrhages, and premature rupture of membranes. In each of these cases, the danger to the mother is the direct result of a viable pregnancy, not an outside condition. What needs to be treated and brought to an end as quickly as possible is the pregnancy itself. If the pregnancy has met the 24-week mark, a sign of viability outside the womb, labor can be induced to fix the issue. In doing so, the child will require extensive care to survive, but this offers the greatest chance of success for both the mother and the child. There are no ethical issues in doing this from a Catholic perspective, as the guidelines even state, for a proportionate reason, labor may be induced after the fetus is viable. If, however, the child is not deemed viable outside the womb, things get more complicated. Some theologians will argue, using the principle of double effect, that it is perfectly ethical to induce labor, evacuating the uterus, because what is being willed is the health of the mother, not the death of the child. Many others, however, disagree, arguing that this situation fails the second criteria of the principle. Unlike cancer or an infection, what is being treated in this situation is not an outside pathology, but the pregnancy itself. The child being evacuated from the uterus is not the unintended effect of the treatment, but the means by which the good is achieved. Unfortunately, the issue remains unclear today. Without any specific directives from the magisterium, Catholic ethicists can be found on both sides of the debate, leaving the National Catholic Bioethical Center without an official stance. An unsettling answer for sure. But given what we believe, we can certainly see why there is still debate and why it matters. For the outside world, influenced by utilitarian thinking, debates like this seem foolish. The idea that any life-saving procedure would be questioned, let alone forbidden, is heartless. But we know that this is yet another example of what Jesus meant when he warned against thinking as the world does. For us as Catholics, we have a view not only of this life, but of the eternal one to come. It is not enough to save one's life here, especially when doing so comes at the cost of hurting another or committing evil acts. No one is suggesting that pregnant women shouldn't receive care. There are plenty of good options. All we're insisting on is that what we call care doesn't irreparably harm their souls in the process.